Hello, my name's Katie and I'm from Evolve Dyslexia Solutions. Colette has asked me today to come and talk to you all about assessing and the process of it for her boots camp. So I'm just going to share my screen to get rid of this. Oh. Okay, so first of all, who am I? So, as I've already said, I have my own business called Evolve Dyslexia Solutions, and I'm based in Norfolk. My qualifications, so I am a qualified specialist dyslexia teacher and assessor, and I'm also a qualified primary school teacher. My experience, so I've worked in schools as a teacher and a teaching assistant for approximately 14 years. And during that time, I've worked with lots of children with dyslexia, autism, ADHD, PDA, and other various SEN. I've also got my own children who have a combination of dyslexia, autism, and ADHD. I'm also dyslexic and autistic myself. So I believe my experience is really important because when I assess children, I understand it from all points of view. So I can see it as a teacher, I can also see it as a parent, and I see it as a dyslexic myself. There's lots of co-occurring conditions such as autism, ADHD, PDA, etc. So I believe it's also really important that I have a good understanding of that, as many of the children who I work with and assess do also have other conditions as well. So the first thing you're going to be asking is, does my child need an assessment? So one of the first things I would do if I was wondering about this would be to speak to my child's teacher. What have they noticed in the classroom? Have they noticed that your child is struggling with literacy, with spelling, reading, writing? Are they struggling with maths? You've probably all recently also got school reports, as it's now the summer holidays. So have a look at that. Does that show difficulties within certain subjects? Then one of the most important things is, what do you notice as a parent? As parents, we know our children better than anyone else. So what do you notice at home? Do you notice that they're struggling with reading, that they're struggling spelling or writing? Are they getting upset about school? And how does your child feel about reading and writing? Do they find it difficult? Do they enjoy doing it? Are they coming home upset because they feel that there's a big gap between them and what their peers are doing? Then I've got to look at the BDA website. So BDA is the British Dyslexia Association. On their website, they have got some really good checklists for each different age category about the traits to look for dyslexia. This is definitely a very good starting point. Then the last thing I've got here is screeners, and I've put a question mark by it. So many schools do screeners for children for dyslexia and then send home the results. However, they need to be looked at with caution. So the majority of screeners are done on computers. So there is a lot of potential for children to just click through the buttons quickly. Maybe they want to go out to break. Maybe they're just not enjoying it. Likewise, they can also be having no idea at all of the answer. So they just click any option. And because it's multiple choice, they can be lucky and score higher than expected. Screeners are also not looked at by, or generally not looked at by, qualified dyslexia assessors or teachers. So again, it's very hard to interpret those results. And I do see many children who have had a screener and maybe it says that there's not a very high chance of them being dyslexic, and actually they are dyslexic. And I've seen it the other way around sometimes as well, where it says, yep, there's a high chance of this child being dyslexic, and actually they're not. So just be really cautious when you look at results from the screeners. So before the assessment, so this area, before the assessment, during the assessment and after, is going to vary a bit for each assessor. So I'm commenting on what I do. Some things will be the same and some things will be slightly different. So before assessments, I think pretty much every assessor will send out questionnaires for home and for school. These will cover things such as school history. So for example, did your child pass the phonics test in year 1? Did they pass it in year 2? If they're in Key Stage 2 now, how did they achieve in year 1 and 2? Were they behind then? How are they doing with literacy and maths? Are they struggling with spelling, with reading or writing? Then it covers things like health. So there are many health conditions that can affect their literacy development as well. There may be conditions that have caused them to miss lots of time from school, or there may be conditions such as hearing difficulties, which can affect how they have picked up phonics and therefore reading and writing. Other neurodiversities, so as I've already mentioned, there's lots of co-occurrence between dyslexia, ADHD, autism, dyspraxia. So the questionnaires will cover things like this for, i.e., has your child got a diagnosis? And also it will cover lots of questions, because if from the questionnaires or during the assessment, I can see lots of traits of ADHD, for example, then I can write referrals for that you can take to your GP. Eye test. So it is really important that a child has had a recent eye test before they have their assessments. As you can imagine, difficulties with reading are going to cause difficulties with eyesight is going to cause difficulties with reading and writing. Sometimes it's obvious that a child has got difficulties with this. Sometimes it's not. So going for an eye test is really important first. Leaflet. This is something I do before assessments, but I'm aware that not all assessors do. I always send out a leaflet roughly a week before an assessment, so the child can see a picture of what I look like, what my classroom looks like, and they have more information about what will happen on the day. Oh, sorry, I've just gone too many screens. So on the day, so where does the assessment take place? This is something which varies a lot between assessors. Nearly all of my assessments I do at my house. I have my own classroom at the bottom of my garden, so it's very quiet. But other assessors will do assessments all at schools. They might do them all at the child's house, or they might do a mixture. How long does an assessment take? So again, this varies slightly. This depends on the age of the child, their ability, and various other things as well. But approximately, they take about 3 hours. What happens? So during the assessment, there will be lots of different tests that the child will do. There will be reading tests where they read lists of words, where they read silently, where they read out loud, and then there will be some that they've read and they'll be asked questions about. They'll also do sequencing tests, copying sequences. They'll do some tests where they're doing things like puzzles. So some of the puzzles that they do, some children particularly enjoy. Visual timetable. So I always have on the board a visual timetable of what's happening. And then I've got smiley magnetic faces, which the child puts on as we go. This is useful for especially children with maybe ADHD or autism, or just younger children, and just other children as well. Some of them like to know what the process is, and it helps them to get through that. Breaks. I find that breaks are probably the most important part. I think it's really important that children leave the assessment having enjoyed it. So nearly all children leave my house having a good time. So I schedule 4 breaks, but that can change. Some children need more, some don't want all them. And in those breaks, we'll do things like play a game of Hungry Hippos or Jenga. I've got a big box of fidget toys and fidget Tetris. And I've also got 3 giant rabbits and 4 cats, and they are always very popular with the children. And all of this helps the children to actually go away enjoying their time here. After the assessment, so when will I get the report? Again, this is something that varies a lot with different assessors and something that's worth checking before the assessment, especially if you've got a deadline that you want it for a new school or want it for an EHCP. I normally say within 2 weeks, I will send the report. Some assessors can be longer than that. I think occasionally some can be quicker. What is in the report? So the report will contain a clear decision whether your child is or is not dyslexic. Even if the report says that they're not dyslexic, the report is still really useful. It contains information about their ability, so their verbal and their visual ability, their memory, which is generally a difficulty for dyslexic learners. Then also, sorry, I haven't written it on here, but something called phonological awareness, which is hearing, being able to hear and manipulate sounds within words, which again is often a difficulty for dyslexic learners. Their attainment, so this includes things like their reading comprehension, reading speed, reading accuracy, spelling, writing, and then the recommendations. Recommendations are probably the most important part of the report. So this will include things that the school can do to help your child within the classroom, things they can do within small group or one-to-one work, and things that can be done at home. These are all very specific to your child rather than just a general list. It will also include things like ideas for exam access arrangements, such as extra time in exams or using a reader or a scribe, and assistive technology. So there's lots of different types of assistive technology, and different ones will suit different children. You will also get, if any other co-occurring conditions are picked up, such as ADHD, autism, dyspraxia, speech and language difficulties, it will mention this in the report, and I can also write a referral letter so you can take that to your GP and a referral can be made. Once parents have this report, there is always time for questions. So parents can either choose to email me or they can choose to give me a phone call, and I'm happy to discuss anything that they want to from the report or about their child generally. Some parents do this quite quickly, some rather quite a bit of time to look through the report first, time to think about it, and then get any questions together. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. So that was obviously a very quick overview of the assessment process. I'm based in Norfolk, so people come to me from around Norfolk. I also have quite a few people coming from Suffolk. I have got some people coming from further afield because Norfolk is a lovely place to come for a holiday. So I have got people coming for a holiday and also booking in an assessment for their child. If you have any questions at all about dyslexia assessments or about your child, I'm more than happy for you to message me either on Facebook, so Evolve Dyslexia Solutions is on Facebook, or you can send me an email. So my email address is evolve.dyslexia.solutions@gmail.com. I'm also on the Dyslexia Mums Facebook group as well, so I'm happy to answer questions on there. Enjoy your summer holidays and the boot camp, and I'll hopefully speak to some of you soon. Thank you. Bye.